Well. Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to Create with Maxon. I'm here with my friend Jörg, and he's on this side. Actually, I have to look at the monitor on that side, but it's always confusing. And I'm going to quickly go through the housekeeping because we have a lot of things to see, and I bet you they're going to be very, very interesting. And after that, I'm going to introduce Jörg, or I think he's going to introduce himself. So let's add this here. And if you go to the following link, I'm going to post some links in the general chat here. It says comments. And if you go to this link over here, you will get to this page over here that has all the links you need to follow our shows, ask your questions, which is very important. And Jonas and I are going to deal with these during the Ask the Trainer, or we will consider making quick tips for you if the information is something that will help all users. So go to the link I posted and ask your questions and check out all the streams that are happening and click the links to the relevant pages. One of them being the Maxon events. If you want to see a list of events, just go to maxon.net/events. Now, of course, these shows are shown live on the Maxon Training Team YouTube channel and the Maxon YouTube channel. But if you want to watch them recorded with timestamps and comments kindly provided by Dr. Sassy, go to the Maxon Training Team YouTube channel. And of course, go to the Maxon ZBrush channel to learn amazing stuff about this brilliant piece of software. Now, as usual, because we appreciate your time when you come and watch our shows, what I'd like you to do, and I think, where is that? Where is that? It's over here. I'm going to post this over here, and you can go and claim your free t-shirt. You only pay for postage and packaging, folding, ironing, and washing, and use House of Polygons, all caps, no spaces, as your code for the month. And if you want to watch generally high quality training tutorials, go to cineversity.com. Let me just, oh, sorry, that's the old Cineversity, cineversity.maxon.net. And if there are any videos from the old Cineversity which you would like to see, what you could do is go to this form over here, the one I've posted in the chat. And you can ask for a tutorial if you think that we need to prioritize it, because we're migrating. The migration is underway, and we're moving videos from the old Cineversity to the new Cineversity. So having said that, I'm going to bring back my friend Jörg. And did I say it properly this time?
Yeah, close, really
Okay.
close.
And I would like Jörg to introduce himself. What do you do? Where do you reside? What kind of stuff you make? So you can even share your screen and show us some of the fantastic things, stuff that have constantly blown me away, the quality of stuff you do and the creativity. So the floor is yours. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, thanks first of all for having me here. Yeah, first of all, to my personal approach, I'm doing like 3D work since I think like 20 years or something. And we founded, like when I was studying 3D, I founded a studio with a colleague, Christian Fuchs, and we called the studio Fuchs und Vogel. Like that's just our names in that case. And since 2014, we're trying to do like high quality stuff in 3D, and it's focused on animation. It's focused on still production, but we always try to get the most quality out of everything we are doing, no matter what the budget is. We just try to get a really good result, and we are not so focused on motion graphics. That's not our main main thing we are doing. It's more about photorealism, and in this kind of stuff you can do like realistic product renderings and architectural visualization, what I will talk about today. Yeah, and that's our main thing we are doing. And I already prepared the short our show reel for you. It's not very long, so yeah, let's have a look at it, I think. Yeah, okay, that's it. I think what you can see here is that yeah, we are covering a big variety of things. Like you saw some Lego stuff we do, and then this photorealistic stuff, some commercial stuff. But I think what's most important to say that all of these projects are commercial projects. So we are very focusing on doing commercial project. It's not that we have a lot of time to do spare time projects. So our credo is we learning while earning, to call it like this. And so yeah, we are always trying to get better with every paid project. I think that's a good way to go, because it's always good if you get paid for something and also can deliver great stuff. Yeah, so before I start with the topic today, like what I wanted to cover today is showing, we can switch to the presentation here over. As you can see here, the topic today is interior rendering from concept to photorealism. And what you can see here are just 4 images we did in the last months and years, especially for architectural stuff. And I will just show you some tricks where how you can achieve this kind of quality, or how we approach to such an image. So literally what I want to show you in this stream is how you go from the left image, like an empty canvas, to the right image. And we will have a look at the scene. I will show you how we start with such a project. And this is actually a paid commercial project. So it was something we did like 2 or 3 months ago this year, for a Munich real estate. Yeah, and I will just show you which were the steps and what is our pipeline, which tools we use. Yeah, and that's the approach. So yeah, I don't know if there are any questions from you, Athanasios, or
No. I will make sure to interrupt you if there's
okay,
any urgent questions. Thank you.
great. So the first thing, I mean, when we are talking about photorealistic rendering, the first topic we need to cover is, when we want to create a photorealistic rendering, we need to ask, what is a photorealistic rendering, I think. And because that's not really clear, because there are different people understand different things, what is meant by this term. So let's have a look at this one here. This describes it really good, because what you can see on the right and in the middle, that's actually a photo. It's not a good photo, but it just shows that this is not what we are aiming for. I mean, this is realistic because it's a photo. It's not rendered or anything, but that's not what we are aiming for. We are more aiming for the left one, and that's actually the rendering, of course. So as you can see here, you have the same products. Yeah, 2 photos and 1 rendered image, and I think we want to go into the left direction and not try to get some realistic shadows like this. We want to achieve a certain aesthetic that is more or less called photorealistic. Exactly. So how we now create a photorealistic rendering? We have different words here flying around. It's like you have a composition, you have render settings, you have lighting, you have materials, and you have modeling. I think these are the main topics you need to cover to get to a good rendering. But the question is always, are they dependent of each other, or how can we work with all those terms? So what we are thinking is that you need a given order from how you should proceed with your rendering. So number 1 is the composition. So if you have a bad composition, it doesn't matter how your materials are or your lighting is. It doesn't really matter. You need a good composition. That's point 1. Point 2 is a good lighting. Your materials can be good, your models can be good, but if your lighting does not really look appealing, it won't work. So lighting is the second one. Then we have the modeling. When you're putting great materials on a bad model, it won't work. So you need good models. The next one is materials, and then the last one is the render settings, because this is more or less technical stuff you can tackle or optimize or whatever, but it won't really if you have covered point 1 to 4, you are already really safe. Like render settings is just a really technical stuff to cover. So let's switch over to Cinema 4D so I can show you what I mean with those things. I prepared just a very basic test scene here. You can see it's just, it's more or less kit bashed together. Like you have here some ornaments. I just downloaded them from, I don't know, from somewhere. And we have the store here, and I placed this wonderful chair right in the middle of the room. So in terms of composition, if we now trying to make a good composition just from this chair, I just said, okay, we can go with a bad camera. I would call this one a bad composition. It's not showing anything. It's like the standard focal length of 36. If you open scenes from other people, you always see like they don't even care about the focal length. They just keep the standard, and that's it. And then place it just somewhere so you see the chair. That's it. And if you now hit rendering, we don't have light here at the moment. That's just the auto light, but you can see, okay, it's showing the chair, but it's not really it's not really showing anything else except for the chair. That's it. And so we have now a bad composition, and now let's combine this also with some bad lighting. The recipe for the perfect bad lighting is to put it right in the back of your camera. So I prepared this here like a bad example. So at the moment we have our camera, you can see it. We have the camera here, and the light is coming right from here. So it's mainly coming directly from the back. And what you can see now here is we don't have a really good perspective, and we don't have a really good light, because the light is just, we don't have shadows, because the object is just covering all the shadows we get, because it's coming right from the back of the camera. That's not what we are aiming for. So let's go back and think about what could be more appealing. A good way to get a good product shot, first of all, is to have a bigger focal length. So when we start here with a focal length of 150 millimeters, for example, and just get a little bit of the door frame here in the front, we get a little bit of depth of field, we get some depth into the image, and it's looking quite more interesting. So what also helps here to get to those perspectives is also when you use the compositing tab here. Like you can enable, for example, a grid, and you can center it somehow, or you can use a golden section or triangles. No matter, just some helpers that can help you to get to an interesting composition. So now we have this. We have still auto light, and now what we said is point 2 after the composition is the lighting. So what I did here is we have a window here directly from the side, and I'm not telling you that you should always put a light from the side to your object, but it's always a good starting point not to put lights somewhere, but put it 90 degrees to your camera. This is just a safe way to do something, because most of the time it will just give you a good starting point. So I will just turn on a light, an area light. It's nothing fancy. It's just an area light with a little bit, not a spread of 1, but a spread of 0.5. So it's more, you can see the difference. It's a little bit more focused on the chair, because the spread is not so wide. So we can do it like this, and now you see, okay, we don't have any light here in this room, so it's a little bit dark. So we have here another light coming from this window, and it will get we'll just make this room here brighter, and we will end up with a good composition and a lighting. And it's just, it's pretty simple. Good lighting doesn't have to be very complicated. It's just 2 area lights, a room with, or 2 rooms with 2 holes. You see it's even open here on the back. So I think it's really simple, and I think you see what's the magic about a good composition and a good lighting, because it's the same, exactly the same object, but if you go for this, you see it's just completely different type of quality image you get out of it. So far for this one. So this was a little bit more overall, and I will now switch to this bedroom scene we saw here at the beginning. And just want to show you how we proceed with such a project. So let me again switch over here, and we will just start over with a blank scene. So I will really show you the basics how we work here. So normally when you start, you need something like a blueprint. And you can just go to your top view, for example, and go to the viewport settings with Shift V, and then you go to back, and here you can, let me just go to this texture here, one moment. You can just put in some blueprint I prepared, and here you go. Now you can just model your stuff. The problem now what you have is that the scale is incorrect. So for example, we have here 9.74 meters. So if we just type in here 974, you can see it's totally off scale. We can now go here and adjust the size and the offset, for example. But we find this really annoying. So what we did here is that we, let me just remove this one here. that we have a plugin written. It's called the Blueprint Importer. And you can just switch the standard alignment. You can say, put me an image into the luminance channel, and also which type of material you want to use. I would just use the old Cinema 4D standard material. And then we go to import image, and here we have the blueprint. And now we have a plane here with the material attached with a display tag. So you can also see it in the top view, for example. So it has an override here for constant shading. But we also have the problem here again that it's not scaled properly. But here we have the create helper object. You can see it's just a null object that appears here, and we can just set it somewhere here, and we can set this one to here. So we have now measured the distance here, and then we say just set scale and set this to 974, and that's it. I think 974. We can just check it by putting a cube here, and you can see it aligns perfectly. So that's step number 1 to start with the modeling of the room. And I won't show you how to model everything here. It's just I would just show you how to how we would build one room, for example, because most of the time you won't show everything. It's more like, okay, let's show the office or the dining or the kitchen. So we just do it by creating some spline here. So just really rough, go to the edges here and close the spline. So what you can see now, it's not perfectly. You don't have 90-degree angles here. It's not perfect. And I think the fastest way to align them is just to copy 2 of them and then scale them. Like you click on the smallest one and scale them down and scale them here. Yeah, as far as I can see, I was pretty good with those 2 because they are already 0. You could also use the scale tool, for example, just scale it down to 0. So now you have perfectly aligned 90-degree angles. That's really good. That's what we want to have. And now we can align everything here. Perfect. Then we can create an outline. Perfect. Just need to adjust it here a little bit and here a little bit. And that's it. Let's put this into an extrude NURB, and let's say we have a height of 270 centimeters. And what you see now, it's facing in the wrong direction, but that is not really a problem because we can just reverse the sequence of the spline. And so we get it in the right direction.
One interjection here. Whenever someone says to the users, to our viewers, whenever someone says, I'm going to put it into an extrude NURBS, that means they've been using Cinema 4D for a long time. That's my comment.
Yeah, I'm old. I'm trying to get used to the new terms. Okay, so I'm using an extrude. Yeah, great. So what's the next part? The next part is to put in some holes into the walls, like for the windows. And I think these are like we have a door here, and this is also a big window, like it's like a door. So we just get a cube, for example, and we see here that it has the size of 101. And I think the other one should be the height, so it's 220. And what you see now is that it's not aligned to the floor. So when I'm doing this, you can see it's always spreading in both directions from my axis. So there is a really handy capsule you can use. It's called geometry axis, and when you put it here, you can just set the y-axis, so it's just an offset for the axis, but you keep your cube editable, so you now can just adjust the height without moving the cube into both directions. So that's really handy for something like this. So we have this store here. We have the store, I think it's around 75, if I'm right. And yeah, the height, we can just leave it. We will just make it a rough model. And again, we have here something like, I don't know, I think that's it. And in the height, we have 124. Exactly, and I think the window will be at a height of around, I don't know, like put it on 80 centimeters. That's also really handy with this axis too, because you can just move it from the down part of the window. So we now take a bool, and we can just group all the windows together, put them here, and put the rest here, and there we are. I would just pull them a little bit down, so we have gaps in between those doors here. So that's it for the holes, and then we can just proceed with some. I really want to highlight the asset browser here. Like it was like a few years ago, it was not. There was not so much stuff in there you could really use for your commercial work, but it's a really growing library, like with the materials, and also there are tons of new models. There are reworked old models for Redshift, so I really recommend to look at that first before you hit out to, I don't know, TurboSquid or 3D Sky or whatever. So what we can use here, for example, is there is a door object, and that's really cool because you can just align it somehow here. I think it needs to be a little bit, I would just hide the blueprint for this, and we can just put the door somewhere like here, and then it has a rig already implemented, so you can say, okay, I will adjust the width here, and then we have also a slider for the depth, and of course the height. Yeah, that was a little bit too much, I think. Yeah, something like this. And that's it. So we already have our door here. You can also open and close it. So that's a really good rig. I don't know since when it is there, but it's really handy because it's you can, as you can see here, you can really fast apply your door here. For Windows and other thing, I just recommend you can build them by yourself, or you can go to the internet. There are tons of free stuff. There are tons of stuff you can buy. Over the years, we just built a library of 3D models. So yeah, we just place some windows there and scale them properly. I won't show this here because that's just, it's just getting some models, shading them and dropping them into the scene. That's nothing really special. I'm just focusing here on some techniques that can be useful for everybody, and don't want to waste so much time for this. So what you can also do here, because we still need a ceiling, we can just use the spline we already used here and just duplicate it and put this one also into just an extrude. Yeah, it's important, and set this to the offset to 0, and move this one right to the top. We can just move it a little bit like this, so it's like penetrating here a little bit. So the problem with ceilings is that they are always in your way when you want to work with it. So what you can do now is, which is a really good trick, is just to go to the options of your viewport and turn on backface culling. And as you can see, nothing happens really, but I would just put a cube here on the top. So you can see when I'm now looking from beneath the ceiling, you can see that the ceiling is gone. I just see through it. And that's why the normals are facing into the up direction here, and backface culling will just make the back of the polygons invisible. So when you're looking through the back of a polygon, it will just be invisible, and that's just the wrong direction. So I tried this reverse normal thing, but it doesn't work. So what we can do here also is reverse sequence. And so it's gone, but it's not really gone because you can see it already here. So the good thing about this workflow is you still have the ceiling when you're in a room. That is really good, because otherwise you're just looking into the sky. But when you're looking from the outside, yeah, you can see that it's not really showing. So that's a little bit the pro, compared with just turning off the visibility, because then it's also not seen from the inside. This can be really handy, and you don't have to care about it. If you turn the visibility for rendering also off, sometimes you forget to turn it on, and that's a little bit annoying. Yeah, so I think that's it about the basics on how you build it. You can also, what you can also do here is, that's maybe something you need, is that you can make this, if we want to take, normally you have around this edge, you have this, this kind of wooden plank you line here. So you can do it just by, if you do a current state to object and take this geometry and then select the edges. So we have all the edges here already, and then we say edge to spline, and now we have a spline. We can delete everything else here, and now we have the spline here, and as easy as it is, we can also add a rectangular here and put this all in a sweep. So this looks totally horrible. And here again, we can aim for this geometry axis. So what we want to do is, I will just turn this off here so we can see everything. What we're going to do is just to sweep this rectangle around here, so we get this profile. And to do this properly, we need to put the edge to one of the geometry axis to one of the vertices of this rectangular. And we just can do it by just converting this one here and moving the axis around. You can do this, but yeah, I really like this procedural way where you can leave everything parametric as long as you need it. So what you can do here now is that you can just move the edge around and then turn it on again. And as you can see, we can now adjust this to something that's making a little bit more sense. For example, you can add some rounding here and maybe adjust the phone angle so it's breaking correctly. And so you now have this socket here around your room. So I think, yeah, okay, now we need a floor, but normally you can just take a plane and that's it. Take this for the floor. And I think that's it. We are now ready to proceed with the next step, I think. And the next step would be to get a good perspective. So before we, maybe that's a little bit, yeah, not usual, but before we are going to start with looking for some reference image or something, we first try to find a good perspective in the room. So yeah, so we can, after that, when we know what we want to show, we can use some reference image that exactly aiming for this outcome. So you can see here that we had different perspective. I also have prepared this room. As you can see here, this is already a completely built house. Like, we don't have only built this one room, but that's not because we have to render every room. It was, we got some data from the architects, and so we already had this, and we had to render also outside images. So if you have everything already, you just take this room and that's it. So what we were trying here was to just find some camera angles, and as you can see here, it's a typical Munich housing because it's very small, everything. And as you can also see here, that even if we are looking into the room, most of the cameras are outside of the room. It's like, I think this one here is the wall of the room, and you can see all the cameras are outside of the room. So how does this work? So normally when your rooms are big enough, you don't have a problem. But in this case, especially when you're visualizing things, buildings in Munich, they are normally, because it's so expensive, they're just building small rooms. So what we did here is, like, you can take a small focal length. So that's the first thing you try. But when you're going under 20 or something, it's just distorting everything. You will see this as soon as you put some stuff in the room. So just lowering this is not really an option. But what we did here, and that what is really usual for this kind of visualization, is that you can go into details and enable the near clipping. And what it's doing, it's just clipping away things that are in front of your camera. You see this when you're sliding down. So actually the camera is outside of the room, but we are just clipping away the stuff. And yeah, just as much as we need it, because yeah, otherwise when you do it too much, you see you're also clipping away those kind of stuff, like the floor or anything else. So just clip away as much as you want, and we did this with every camera, as you can see here, because otherwise it's just, there's just no way to get a good image here. And we also have some furniture here that can be really rough. So what you can do here, for example, is you can go to the asset library and, for example, take, when you have a bed here, I just have to turn off the walls temporarily to place it. And we can just take this bed here. And yeah, you already see that it's really small inside of here. So we can just take this one and put it right here. Maybe check some other perspective. Yeah, you can see it's really small in here. So maybe we are aiming for a smaller bed. We can just scale it around. And what I also do at this stadium, we can just select child tags of the same type here and get rid of all the materials. Let's try it again. Yeah, so like this. So we're just working with some clay models, and yeah, as you can see here, you can just populate it with some stuff here because it's not really important what's in there. It's just more about having some placeholders for a bed, for a cupboard or something like that. So this was what we were doing here. Like you have the sideboard, you have those small things, and then you have this bed. That's all. We just put it in there to get a better feeling for the room and for the camera angles. And yeah, we proposed to the client those 3 cameras, and he decided for this one. And you can also see that it's if I go to load this layout here again, we can also render it short, because what we also did here is to put some basic light here. As you can see here, it's just a dome light and an infinite light. We are using very basic setups here. We are not using any HDRI. We are not using any sky setup here, because most of them are not really flexible enough. So it's when you have an HDRI, you have the environment and the sunlight inside of one image. So this can look really good. We do a lot with HDRIs, but especially for architecture, it's always better to have full control over your direct light and about your indirect light. So what you can see here is when I turn this off, you see that's just the sun. So you have just the sun coming in here, and the rest that's happening here is just bouncing lights from the GI. You can see when I turn off global illumination, that's all what's left. Like this is how they were lighting like Toy Story in the 90s, and I don't know. So they set all the manual bounce lights. We don't do this here. We just turn on brute force. And if you're wondering why that's rendering really fast, it's just because I'm using a denoiser here, because that's totally enough to judge the image. So we have render times of 7 seconds. That's totally enough. So this is just an infinite light here with some color in here. It's not even a light temperature. We just put in some, just a color that looks good and is not too oversaturated, because then everything is getting yellow. And the other light here is just a dome light with a color and a little bit bluish color. So if I turn this on, you can see it's a very diffuse light, and it's really cold. And what we have now is, when we combine both, we get this warm light from the sun, but we still have some ambient bluish cold light from the outside. That makes a really cool look, I think. And we have the flexibility for the light without having to worry about things that are changing. Like when you're using a physical sky and sun rig, it's always like you change the angle of the sun, and it also changes the sky, and this also changes the light color and anything.
We have a question,
yeah
Jörg. So Akash is asking, is Redshift better than V-Ray or Corona when it comes to architectural rendering? And I could rephrase this as, why is Redshift your preferred render, and how does it compare to other third-party renderers?
Yeah. I personally cannot really judge about Corona or V-Ray. I think these are both uh, very good render engines. It was just like we switched from V-Ray, like, I don't know, 10 years or 8 years or whatever ago, because it wasn't just a good implementation in Cinema 4D. I think that has changed a lot. A big part of our business is having a library. So when we switched to Redshift a few years ago, we were just dedicated to this render engine, and we put everything, all the effort into building up a Redshift library. So it's not about, I think it's not really, that's what I was trying to point out. It's not really about the render engine at the end of the day. If your compositing is not good, if your lighting is not good, if your modeling is not good, if your materials are not good, you can use whichever render engine you want. It won't get you a pleasant output. So I don't think that. I think one render engine will perform better as the other one. I can just say what I like about Redshift, and that's I mean, you have the GPU speed. You have, like you can see here, you have when you're using with a denoiser, especially in this part of work where you're doing the concepts, it's really fast. Yeah, that's just the what I can say to this topic. What I think is really good in Corona is the light mixer. We are missing this extremely here in Redshift, but yeah, that's something you can work around. I will show you later on how you can do something, not similar, but that's going into that direction.
Excellent.
So
Thank you.
yeah,
Proceed, proceed. This is very interesting.
yeah, of course. So yeah, as you can see here, we have this with this light setup. I just wanted to close this with by saying it's always good for us to have the flexibility, um, but you have to know what you're doing. Like we also saw, like people are a little bit overwhelmed when they have access to everything. So it's always good if you know what you're doing. But when you know what you're doing, this is just super flexible. And as long as you don't need super crisp reflection from very big windows where you need an HDRI to have good reflections, then this will work in 90% of everything you need. All right. So we now have the perspective, and as I said, we just started over with just deleting everything again, because these were just stand-ins like proxy geometry. You just need to get to the right perspective. So we were going with the middle one, as I told you, and yeah, the next part for the references is, as you can see here, we don't use a lot AI for our work, but sometimes we just go, like, we don't have really much hardware for set up here internally. It's just we're going to Bing Create or something free stuff and type in some prompts that are going into the direction. And as you can see here, it's the closer you look into the images, you more see that it's just rubbish. But we took a lot from the right image. We also saw here on the left image that putting a desk on the side here is maybe not a really good idea, because it will look more like a hotel room and not like an actual bedroom at your home. But what we also liked here was the warm light that is coming from the outside. And what we also liked here was this look from the lighting and all this indirect lighting. We really love that. This carpet here and this side here, that worked really good. Yeah, so we were looking for some sweet spots in every image, and we're trying to aim into this direction. So let's go over again. And so we are now at the point where we need models and where we need textures. And I think most of the time, when you're doing this, it's like you're going, for example, to TurboSquid or 3D Sky. We buy a lot of models there, and there's like no model that is optimized for cinema 4D or Redshift, so you have to recreate all the materials. So what you're getting is a model and then like a ton of textures, and you need to create a material, put all the textures in here, relink them, adjust them so they look good. So that's really like when you start over with a bed or something and you don't have a good one already in your library. It's like buying this model, exporting the model so it has proper UVs and a good and quad polygons and so on. And after that, you create all the materials. You can be stuck there for 1 or 2 hours just to create this a pleasing model with some textures. So what we did over the last year for Maxon was to create really good materials. And I don't say just because we did it. It's just we put a lot of effort into them to work in as much situations as possible, because that's really critical for materials. A lot of materials work in a tiny sweet spot, but if you zoom out, they are tiling and so on. So we try to make materials that are working, especially for architectural visualization, because Maxon was asking us they asked us what we need and not the other way around. So that was really, really good. So we could just make a big list out of 500 materials where we say, okay, this would actually help us in our daily work, and maybe will also help other people in the same field of visualization. So regarding this bed here, for example, you can start really easy, because where you can say, okay, we need some leather here, for example, and you can just double click it here, and for example, we put it here, and then we have this, I don't know, this kind of stuff here, and we can go to the fabrics. We have a lot of fabrics here. You can put this fabric here. You can also, like when you're saying, okay, we have this bed sheath here and we want to have this bluish thing, you can put it directly onto your object, so you don't really have to bother anyway. So yeah, let's just hit enter here. I think we also need some plastic here for the bottom part, so we can just go here to the plastics and maybe some rough, put this right here. Yeah, and as you can see here, it's a little bit, yeah, not so much space here, but as you can see here, you already have this really good looking stuff here applied. You have this leather. So what you're now seeing here is it's looking a little bit flat because we only have auto light here. We don't have any light here. So what is also a really good thing that we are doing, like we have in this library, there is a really good HDRI This is the apartment HDRI. I don't know where it's from, but it's really good because it's really neutral and you can use it just for shading your assets. I would also always recommend to use something like always use the same HDRI to shade your objects so they are all working in the same light. When you're starting, put everything in your scene and then adjusting the materials or putting materials on it, it's just slow because you have a lot of stuff going on in your scene. That's point number one. And the next point is you don't know if most of the time no light is calibrated or something. So if your light intensities, for example, are off, you end up with some materials you will never be able to use again because they're just like totally out of physical values or something like this. So what you can do here, you can just tick this heart icon here and then it will be put to your favorites. That's it. And what's also really good is you just have to put this one here directly into the viewport and you can see that it's directly creating a dome light for you. So that's, yeah, just drop it in and that's it. And as you can see now, that's a really good HDRI to just judge your materials. You have you have the details here, you have the bump on spot, you have some reflections of the leather here, you have something going on here. So as you can see now, we have spent just a few minutes. Like we can just go here and say, okay, we want maybe something more like this on here and put it like this, or we have like, let's go crazy, we can put some satin on it. Yeah, that's perfect. And we can also go directly to the materials. As you can see here, they have some kind of user data. So you can just, without digging into the materials, you can just apply your materials here and change them a little bit without needing the need to go very deep into all this this stuff like this is going on here. So it's really easy. It's such a time saver. I would really recommend to have a look into all these materials, especially if you're looking for architecture visualization. We put a lot of effort into them, so hopefully they don't only help us, but also help other people. Yes, and that's how we start building all this stuff together. So let's just pause this here and go to the next step. I'm just, this might be a little bit of a hard cut, like from an empty room and some kind of clown bed here to the actual room. But I think our time here is also limited. And we need to proceed. As you can see here, like this image at the end was just a cube here in somewhere nowhere. Because the lighter your scene is, the better is the performance, and that's it. So what you can see here, we just put the some kind of bed here. We also have some indirect lighting coming from the top. I would just start the rendering. I also have the denoiser active, so you can see. So as you can see here, a lot of elements we had in our reference and try to replicate it here, because it's always like you're 100 times faster if you know what you're aiming for and not trying things out in 3D. That will also, because then, you put some effort in shading things and then you are like, nah, it doesn't look good, and throw it away. So you will waste a lot of time. So it's always good to have some really good references. You can just use image search in the internet, or take your own pictures, or use AI. Totally free, but the better your reference and the better you know what you want to achieve, the faster you will be and the better will be the result.
One suggestion before you move on. I used to do that when I was in the UK. You go to any secondhand bookstore, and you can find some old architectural catalogs that have some beautiful images from different eras. And these books usually are extremely affordable because they're used and they're old and all that. But the amount of reference you can get from older picture books and stuff like that is, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's I can totally second this, because this is always aim also for old stuff, because in terms of photography and composition, nothing has changed over the years. Like a good image 20 years ago is still a good image. Yeah, that's a good one. All right, so now I will not really focus on the big setup here and the materials we use. Like 90%, I would say, of those material we used here are just from the library, so it's nothing special. We also have some rug materials here, like what you can see here. I'm not sure if that is exactly from the library, but let me just, yeah, we have some really good rug materials here, and just put them on some kind of extruded plane, and it will work. That's the good thing about it. Yeah, you also have like something like this, those plugs. I can always, like, I know I'm repeating here, but you can just go here, take them, and you will automatically get the placement tool here, let it go, and you have some stuff here directly placed on the wall. I think it couldn't be any easier. Yeah, so what I want to show here a little bit is what we were doing for the light, like what I already showed in the previous scene. It hasn't changed a lot, but we just added a lot of artificial light from the inside, because it's always good. If you can see here, this is just the light coming from outside, and it's already, I think it's already looking quite good, but it's, yeah, it's still a little bit dead. So you won't always turn on lights in your architectural visualization, because this brings light and life to your scene, I think. So what we did here, we just have this indirect lights. We have one at the back from the bottom. We have one from coming from the top, and it's just, I can show you this. It's nothing really, not a big magic. It's just an area light pointing to the wall, and it's here a small area light pointing to this wall, and then we have an area light here pointing to the curtain. So you get this kind of stuff, and they are really warm. Like we have a temperature here of 2800 Kelvin. That's really warm. But yeah, and we are really, that's what I was talking about, when you know what you're doing. Like, as you can see here, that's our ambient dome light. It's really blue, but it gives a really good contrast to this really warm sunlight. So you have this really warm sunlight, and mixing it with this blue will give you like this really cold look in the indirect lighted area, but still a warm look where the sun comes from. So that's it. And then we have like this table lamp here. This is just a mesh light. And we also put a small light here in front of this, in front of the normal lamp you can see here, just to make a little bit more light in the room, just fake it a little bit. So it's, we can maybe make a quick comparison. So this is without, and this is width. You see that it's just making it a little bit more warmer in this particular part of the image. Yeah, and that's it overall. Like, you can just put it right there, and at the end there will be some post-production I can show you, but maybe that's something I will cover in the next stream we have, like in 3 weeks. I think it's but what I want to show you here is another thing that is really good, because I think when we announced the stream, I also wanted to show different lighting situations. Like, you have this, I would call this a day situation, even if there is a lot of artificial light inside here. But what's about a night situation? So now we can go here and adjust the lights, and of course we can do this, but there is also another way how we can achieve it. A good thing what we can do are light groups. So that's really cool, because you can group your lights and make some AOV passes that just include the lights you put into the group. So what I did here, I made a group, and so you can just click here and create add new light group, and then we can just put in test, for example, and then this light will be added to the light group test. I will just add it back to the interior light group, and I just added every interior light that we have here into this AOV interior group. Then I have this group called sky, and I have this group here called sun. So what I'm doing with all this stuff, when I'm now going here to the Redshift render settings, first of all, normally it's on basic, so you don't see really any AOVs. So first of all, go to advanced, and then you have the AOVs here, and you can go to show AOV manager. And what we want to have now is we want to have render the beauty path, and normally that's on all, and we want to render all the light groups. Like, we can tick them each other, or we can just say all light groups. So what he's doing now is he will render all the light groups here. What we can then set here is, for example, what we get now if we press render now, what we will get is we will get 4 images. We will get an image for every light group here, like interior, sky, sun, and we will get a global AOV layer. In this case, when we select all, it will just be like the whole image, like what we're seeing here. But what we really want is we want to have everything that is not covered by those ones here. So everything that is not covered by the light groups here will be in the global AOV remainder. So we get 4 images with all the lights here, and everything that is not inside of those passes. So I already rendered this out. Let me just pause this here. So that's all. We just set up the multipass, and as you can see here, this was the image I was rendering. And this here is the beauty interior pass. That's the sky pass, and that's the sun pass. And yeah, you can see in the other pass that there's not so much here. We have a little bit refraction, and here we have this emission. I think it's from an emission material, so it's not a light in terms of redshift. It's more emission material. So it's not a lot, but yeah, it's still something we have here. So what you're now seeing here is that we don't have applied any color mapping here. I think regarding color mapping and a little bit of ACES workflow, I will cover in the next stream. But for now, it's important that you just add some color display profiles for ACES-CG. And as you can see, as soon as you add those profiles, it starts looking better than what you were seeing before. So what we are now seeing here are the isolated passes. So we can just add them together by just going to mode and select add. And what you can see here is pretty much, or should be exactly the same thing as the beauty pass. So as you can see here, yeah, nearly like something over here, but overall it's pretty much the same. So what do we do with this setup now? Because we have now rebuilt one image with 4 images. So what's the purpose of this? So what I was saying before was that we can make a night shift situation in directly in 3D, or we can just go here. And the good part here is now we have isolated the lighting here. So you can see now if I turn down the sky and the sun, we are just left with this interior lighting here. And we have now an extra pass just for the sun. So if we want to go for a night situation, for example, we can just add an effect. I will just take the lumetri effect and maybe just turn down the exposure and also the temperature. So we're getting something, yeah, more like a blue moonlight from the outside, for example. And we can now use I could use the lumetri color, but I think the lumetri color is limited to an exposure of -7. So if you want to go down lower than -7, then and I think we need to go lower than -7. We need to take an exposure effect. So this is just the indirect light we are now adjusting here. So just a tiny bit maybe. Then we have this blue moonlight, and then we have this interior light here. And for example, we can just crank this a little bit up so it's getting brighter. So as you can see now, we just isolated some light passes here, and what we did here, we just made that's exactly the same image. It's just post work here, and we just set this here to a night scene here, for example. What we can also do, add here a little bit, is some kind of glow. Like we have some from Red Giant. Some kind of optical glow. We can go to glow only, so we see what is really glowing here, and then we need to switch to linear footage because we are working in 32 bits and have linear footage here. And then we can see, okay, we just want to have this glow here. Turn this down and then just adjust it a little bit. Yeah, maybe something like this. So it's just glowing a little bit here, and that's it. So now we have a night image for created for this one. You can also turn this down. You can use the opacity, or you can use the exposure slider, some effects. That's up to you. and you can do some additional color correction on it. But I think it's a really good way where you can show that you can very fast convert like in daylight rendering to a nighttime rendering, especially when it's about commercial projects. Most of the time they want a night and a day version, and then you don't have to do all this stuff in 3D and render it again. That's all time you won't get paid for. So it's always good if you have this kind of workflow that can save your day, I think. Yeah, let's just go over here. I think I pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover for this first stream. As you can see, I also used some tools here, like the blueprint importer. We also have this really cool tool called Canvas Size. That's also really good because it can rescue you. It can save you hours. For example, you can go here to extensions and edit. It's just a tag you add to your camera. Because sometimes clients are like, okay, that picture is perfect, but we need like 200 pixels more on the left side. And that's not really easy in 3D, like it's not Photoshop. And what you can do here, you just go to the tag and then you say like, okay, we set an anchor point. We want to remain on the right side here. And then we can just type in like, if you want 100 pixels more, we type in 800 and it will exactly extend it only on the left side with 800 pixels. So that's a really good helper for not only for architectural visualization, it's good for a lot of stuff. And we also have this enable on render time tag. That's really good more for outside renderings. When you have a lot of stuff scattered, you can deactivate things and they will automatically be activated on render time. I think I will cover this in the next stream also because it's makes more sense there. And we also have our Flucati carpet package available. It's volume 1, even there is no volume 2, but maybe at some point we will release some volumes, I don't know. And what is really cool about this one is that we just can see it here that we have a bunch of carpets in different sizes already as Redshift proxies. So you just can see it here, and there's also materials applied and everything. You just drop your proxy here, and then you go like I showed here, put in a light or not, I don't know.
Did you break it?
Yeah, maybe I break it, I don't know. Never mind, we just take this one here.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. And as you can see, they are already pre-compiled. It's very fast. It's very detailed. It's just, yeah, you can see it's really detailed hair. It's and we have this from going from 60 to 90 centimeters up to, I don't know, it's like 3 to 4 meters. And they are in different shapes, like a round one. And yeah, it's really good if you need some realistic Flucati carpets in your scene. It can help a lot. And you see we scattered them and prepared them. It's like millions of hairs there, and it's paired with some good lighting, it will really give you this a little bit of realism in your scene, because it has a lot of details. So yeah, if you like something from this, we have our Gumroad channel here, and I activated a code for the next week. So if you want to support us, or support your work with this tools, then just head up to our Gumroad, and with this Maxon Stream 25 you get 25% off on
We have a question about this. The question is, are these helper tools Mac compatible?
Yeah, they're Mac compatible because these are just Python plugins, so they are also not really, yeah, you don't need a lot of maintenance for them. Like when there's a new release, you need a new plugin for that. So most of the time, Python is really stable over all the releases, so it's no problem. They work
Nice.
on every platform where Cinema 4D is running.
Great. One more question we have here. What type of lighting setups do you do for exterior scenes? Is this something you're going to show us in the next stream?
Yeah, I think we can also cover this a little bit in the next stream.
Okay.
But I think most of the time, and from it's not really different. It's a little bit more different because like when you're just taking a plain color, like we did for the interiors, this fake will, yeah, won't work because you have most of the time you're using also the reflection from an HDRI in some objects, so it will maybe look a little bit flat. So most of the time from in the outside for outside renderings we are using HDRIs, but yeah, we also have a setup for this year I can show you. I can also recommend just do your own presets. It's a big time saver. If you're just, even if it's just like a scene structure, put it in here and you always have this stuff here. But I think it's this kind of rig we have here. Yeah, that's what we did here is we took you don't see it here in the preview, but we just took an HDRI, a normal HDRI, and just painted out the sun. So what we got there is something like this, but without a real visible sun. So you have those reflections from the sky, but you don't have this sunspot really. So you can just use this this mesh, this dome light here, and the sunlight also, like we did before. It's more or less the same setup. So you have just an infinite light, even if it's called sun. It's just an infinite light. You can set a color, you can set the direction, and you have full control over your environment here. I think we also tinted it here a little bit. So that's the original HDRI.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's a smart idea. Yeah.
yeah.
We have one more here, which from Ian Baker. Are the material libraries you used here built into Cinema 4D Redshift, or are they personal collection you built? A lot of the stuff that Jörg showed is stuff that are provided pretty much every month or so in the capsules drop. And all those materials, those fabrics, the leather and all that, they are included in the Maxon One subscription. They are made by Fuchs Vogel, and but I'm pretty sure that they have more assets of their own. And Jörg's camera has frozen, but it's a good pose. Nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah,
So is
maybe
that correct? Is that correct what I said? Oh, we lost Jörg. Oh, it's fine. Anyway, let's see if we get him back. There he is.
yeah.
We got you back.
Okay, great.
So, yeah, was that accurate? That a huge number. How many materials have you provided for Maxon to distribute as capsule drops?
Yeah,
It's
it's
100, isn't it?
500. It's 500.
500.
I mean, yeah, it's not that these are 500 unique. Like there are some are just color variations, but even sometimes there are just other variations that are not so obvious that you don't spot at first glance. It's more like we have some pavements and then we have some large pavements that is, for example, tiling better and is more for wider shots. But this is already all in the library. and I think I can talk about it, but we are already working on further materials, so it won't
Nice.
stop with 500. It will
I don't
be,
think so.
yeah.
As far as I've seen, the quality is outstanding. I've been snooping inside. Just to let people know, I'm just going to show you. This is just a standard 2024.5, which is available. You click on the asset manager and you can go to the materials, and it's this list over here. And if you're looking for materials which are Redshift compatible, you can type Redshift, and you will see that when you hover over them, you get the red little icon here. Now, just in case you didn't know, if you click on this little thing here, which opens this palette, and you click on a material, it will give you a list of keywords or dependencies. So if you go to keywords, you will see, amongst other things, if you want to go and check out all the stuff that Fuchs and Vogel make, you will see they're tagged. So you can search these words, or you can add your own keywords. For example, awesome materials. That's a good one to add. But you can make your own, as Jörg said very eloquently. Make your own libraries. Don't let anything go to waste. Make your own template scenes, make your own starter scenes, and just utilize the asset browser to the best of your ability.
Yeah, render settings also is a really good
Yes,
thing to create by your own, because it's really specific regarding your work. So yeah, but especially
indeed.
when you're working with a team, it's important to have those presets ready, because otherwise everybody will just do what he thinks is the best, and yeah, that will just end up in chaos.
Exactly. So on that note, I think we've come to the end of this week's presentation. We are going to be back with Jörg in September.
Yeah,
September.
September
It doesn't matter.
11
Just
or
every
so.
Monday, watch the show until Jörg comes back, because he's got a ton more stuff to show, and the work they do at the studio it speaks for itself. Just go to the links that were posted at the beginning. I'm going to do a quick um, dump here of all the links. So first of all, don't forget. Let me share. Oh, I need to do all these things. Self-producing, my nightmare. So let me do this. So first of all, use the link I just provided to go to this page and see the shows that are coming up, and ask your questions for the Ask the Trainer, alongside to all sorts of other interesting links we have here. So the Maxon events page will give you a date for, where is it here? September the 9th. That's how
Ah,
easy
yeah,
you find it. So
great.
September the 9th, and we're going to see more stuff. So that is the magic link. Let's keep going. If you want to find Fuchs and Vogel work, try these links, follow them on their appropriate socials, and go and get those helper plugins, because they are very, very helpful. And of course, I'm copying and pasting like a maniac here. Don't forget to watch these presentations recorded after the fact with timestamps and comments. Please go to the Maxon Training Team YouTube channel and of course go and check out all the magnificent stuff and presentations and videos on the Maxon YouTube channel. Go and learn ZBrush. Do yourselves a favor, if you're artists, go and check out the best sculpting and 3D painting software on the planet at the Maxon ZBrush channel. And of course, go to this little link over here. I'm going to paste it, paste it, and use the code for the month of August. House of Polygons, not Happy Polygons. House of Polygons, all uppercase, no spaces, to claim your free T-shirt and go to Cineversity to learn Cinema 4D and all the Maxon One products. And of course, if you do have a suggestion of a video that existed in the old Cineversity, and you want us to sort of fast track it as much as we can, please go to this form and complete it. And on that note, I bid you all farewell. I'll catch you on the flip side. Don't hang up, Jörg. I'll see you in the green room, which is not green and it's not a room. But
Perfect.
in any case,
Yeah, maybe there was just one question left with this
yes, let's.
pre-render settings. Maybe we can just answer it really fast. There was the question: do you have a preset render
Point.
setting? Exactly. I mean, we internally have some presets, but I think it's if you don't familiar with Redshift, but you want to start, just go with the basic settings and just use the bucket quality, low, medium, high, very high settings.
And let me
It will.
quickly show that because that's a great tip. So let me go back to startup, and this is your standard Cinema 4D. You click on the render settings, and you'll see Redshift is the renderer, basic settings. And when you go to Redshift, you just have the low, medium, high, very high
Yeah.
to start with. Now the question though was, if you don't have Redshift yet. Well, if you don't have Redshift yet, Anna, I suggest you get it because it's worth it, and it's part of Maxon One or Cinema 4D, and you will not regret it. That is my my comment. And yeah, I repeat. On that note, I'm saying that because I'm trying to find the end video. There it is. On that note, thank you, Jörg, for sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, and your amazing work. We will catch you on September the 9th, same time, same day of the week, Monday. Everyone, thank you very much for joining us. And you must always remember that you can you can contact me. My DMs are open on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at NersmanGR or at Jonas Pills 3D, and come and ask your questions so we can deal with them at the Ask the Trainer show. So now I have to click this button, and then I have to click this button. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.